Throughout Mayor Melton's career, he's held leadership positions at the Legacy Foundation and NIPSCO. He also served as chairman of the Indiana Commission on the Social Status of Black Males and the Indiana State Board of Education, representing the 1st Congressional District of Indiana. In 2015, Mayor Melton worked alongside President Barack Obama's administration in implementing My Brother's Keeper, addressing persistent opportunity gaps facing boys and young men of color. In 2016, Mayor was elected as state senator for Indiana's 3rd district. He won re-election in 2020. In 2023, Mayor Melton won the Democratic nomination for mayor of the city of Gary and assumed the office of mayor of the city January 1st, 2024. Mayor Melton lives in Gary, Indiana, with his beautiful wife, Crystal, and their 4 children. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the 22nd mayor of the great city of Gary, Indiana.
Thank you, Chuck. No, that's okay. Thank you so much. You're far too kind. I want to thank Chuck. I want to thank Jan, the entire board of directors for the Gary Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity. Last year, it seemed like it was 2-3 years ago already. So today we're just going to have a conversation. Last year I had like 20-page notes. And I sat there and just shared the thoughts and vision of what we dreamed to do in our first year. So what I'm going to do today is just talk about some of the achievements, some of the highlights, but also how we're going to move forward on some key things. So first off, I want to acknowledge my wife, Crystal, that's here. Crystal, you can wave. I want to acknowledge our council members. We had already done that, but Councilwoman President Atkins, thank you so much for 4th District, your leadership. And Councilman Halliburton in the back, shout out to you, man. Thank you so much. He just recently retired as an Indiana State Trooper, so we thank him for his service to the state of Indiana. And I'm not going to ask him to stand, but all of the staff members, the team members for the city of Gary, if you could just wave your hand, just let folks know you're in the buildings. All right. Is this my clicker right here? Is it right here? Let's just jump right into it. That's okay, guys? All right, let's see. All right. So when we first came into office, I laid out our mission, vision, and values. I'm not going to go word for word in these slides, so don't worry if you see some text in there. I'm not going to read the slides. I'm just going to hit some key points. But the key thing I want to take away here is the core values of I Serve. That was one of the things that we wanted to make sure as an administration, we came in and gave some values to the entire staff and administration to let folks know what we stand for. And service is what we stand for. One of the main quotes I would say with service is the one from Muhammad Ali. Many of you may have heard me say this time and time again. Service to others is the rent we pay for our space on earth. And that's something I truly believe in. Our 4 top priorities from an economic development standpoint. This is a business audience and a business crowd, so this is not like my town hall for the community directly, right? I'm not going to dive deep into every nuance of individuals that may have stayed here, but this is for more of a business community that I want to share these details. So the 4 top priorities, we have to stabilize when we first came in. Our goals of growth, improving the quality of life for residents, and also planning for the future. Let me just dive a little deeper into the stabilization. Stabilizing our finances, stabilizing our population. That was all about improving service, providing a better quality of service to residents in the city of Gary. And I believe our public works and general service team have done a phenomenal job in terms of increasing the quality of service to the residents of Gary, and that's something that we're striving for every single day. And that's how you retain a population. It was very important for us that we focus on how do we retain our population, and that's better by providing better services. On a growth aspect, we know for us to grow, we had to make sure, on top of providing those better services, we had to make sure we grow our business community. We strengthen those small businesses, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And also our quality housing stock. And we have some programs and initiatives that we're rolling out around housing that I think is going to be very important to you guys. Overall quality of life. When we're talking about initiatives dealing with our seniors, dealing with our youth and family, I told my team this year, I said, this year right here, we're going to pay more attention on how do we connect our social service providers and organizations that provide services to the community, those that are in need, connecting those dots and resources. How do I use my office as mayor to bring folks together for the greater good of the community? And planning for the future. We're going to talk about building our comprehensive plan, looking at all of the plans that's been done for the last 15 to 20 years. Every single plan that's been done has some quality in it that we want to build off of. So those are some things that we're going to be looking at. Let me go back to the stabilizing piece. I'm going to jump into the schools, if that's okay, really quick. We're in the 2025 General Assembly right now. Everything that Gary pursues or try to retain is always under attack. And you're listening to someone that served as state senator. Everything that we try to achieve in the city of Gary, we have to fight for. And right now, we're fighting yet again to make sure that our schools remain solid and solvent. We just received our local schools back. It's been less than a year. Many of you remember, our schools were taken over by the state of Indiana. We finally have a local board. We finally have a superintendent. In less than 1 year, without any data, without any decisions, they are deciding to try to do it again. I want to acknowledge Dr. Stokes, who is here, our new superintendent of Gary Schools. And just very briefly, I'm going to ask her if she want to just share about the legislation that's impacting the Gary schools.
I've got hips. Thank you, Mayor Melton. You know, it's interesting that Mayor Melton started with stabilizing, improving quality of life, growth, and planning for the future, because those are the cornerstones that the school district is also breathing life into, not just words, but breathing life into. With that being said, in just 4 short months, because you've got to understand that school started in August, in just 4 short months, we've improved our enrollment by almost 400 students, and that is a lot. In 4 short months, we've got a team, boots on the ground, that is making efforts to improve the quality of our teaching in our classrooms, as well as the offerings for our students. All of that helps us stabilize and plan for the future. However, House Bill 1136, and if you're not in the know, I need you to get in the know. Look up House Bill 1136. It's authored by Representative Jake Teshka, and he's from North Liberty, proposes converting schools in Indianapolis Public Schools, Gary Community Schools, Tri-Township Consolidated Schools, which is in LaPorte County, Union Schools southeast of Muncie, and Cannleton City Schools near the Kentucky border, which is Perry County. The bill proposes to convert these schools into charter schools due to enrollment shifts. So here's what the bill says. If more than 50% of students residing within a school district's boundaries were enrolled in a school not operated by the district as of October 1, and understand, I'm going to pause there. Every year in October, we take what we call average daily membership. We call it ADM. They take a count, and that count determines how many dollars will flow from the state to public education. That's just one source. So I'll continue with what I'm reading. Basically that as of October 1 of the previous year, the district must be dissolved. So if 50% or more of our students residing in our district's boundaries go to other schools, then the district must be dissolved. The bill, if approved, would require 68 public schools across the 5 districts to convert to charters by July 1 of 2028. According to the bill's fiscal impact report, schools with the lowest scores on the state assessment, such as what we call iLearn and iRead 3, would transition first. Now, I need you to understand, I read this directly from WFYI, which is a radio station in Indianapolis. So I need to go on record saying that. But here's what I want you to know about us. It has only been 6 months, since Gary Community School Corporation was released from a 7-year state takeover. During this 7-year period, please understand that there was an exodus of thousands of students from the district. However, since local control was reinstated, we've been laser focused on increasing our enrollment, maintaining fiscal solvency, while enhancing our curriculum and improving the overall educational experience for our children. We want to just say, we want to do and always will do what's best for children. So the enrollment count upon which Bill 1136 proposes to dissolve our district only reflects 2 months of attendance recorded at the start of the 24-25 school year. This count does reflect our increase. However, we want to continue and be given the opportunity to continue our upward trend. So I do want to say this, and I'll be short. Our leadership team will work with staff, parents, family, and scholars and stakeholders to educate the community about this proposed legislation. We're asking for the opportunity. 7 years, give us 7. We want time to be able to have our students come back to our school district. We are not saying that charters are not parents' choice. If a parent chooses to put their child in charter, more power to that parent. They should have a choice. But we also want the choice for traditional public education. And with that, I yield back to our wonderful mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc. So, there's always a fight, and we're used to it by now. Just a couple weeks ago, I get a call from, now this is off script, I promise I didn't plan to go here. Just a couple of weeks ago, I get a call from the state comptroller saying we owe $14 million from our casino revenue to East Chicago, Michigan City, and Hammond because of this facility. Let that sink in for a second. So if you don't see me a lot in Gary in the next 4 months, you'll know where I'll be. And I hope you'll be there with me. All right. Sorry to bring you down. Let's take it back to service. All right. Our Public Works Department, and Rachel Morgan Caesar is here. I want to thank her for her leadership, our director. I mean, they've been doing a phenomenal job, ladies and gentlemen. When we came in, Mike Suggs, which is our Chief Operating Officer, he and our team have been focusing on how do we provide those better services. So you see all of these things from cleaning up our corridors we're trying to get better at, vegetation removal, cameras to address some of the blight, putting trash cans in the right places. All of these small things are making very small steps towards progress, but it's happening. We've been preparing for snow removal, and they've been doing a very good job. I'm extremely proud of the work that they've been doing in terms of not just plowing the snow, but informing the public of our process, letting them know how to contact us in emergencies, but also just sharing it broadly with the general public. So I want to just hats off to that team. Using 311, we've stepped up in the 21st century in Gary, This new app has been doing a phenomenal job in helping us track the issues that residents and citizens have. Someone illegal dumped in front of your yard, somebody parked a car wrong in the front of your yard, a tree fell in your yard. Encourage people to call 311-881-1311, or if you have the application, put it on your phone. We have to track. Like Mike Suggs says, if we don't measure it, we can't improve it. And these are the steps that's helping us become a greater Gary. Let's talk about public safety. I have both our chief of police and our fire chief, Chief Cannon. You want to wave real quick? And Chief Tillman. I tell this story often that one of the first decisions we had to make was who will serve as fire chief and police chief. And I'm extremely proud of the decisions that I made. And that reflects in the numbers that we're seeing this year. So I'm going to quickly just share some numbers after a couple slides. So some of the funding that we received, I want to thank Congressman Mervan for his support to make sure that we received over $264,000 in terms of license plate readers, trying to address crime in a more technological space. Over $262,000 outfitting of animal control vehicles, safe rifle storage. All of these things, we have to have partners. And Congressman Mervan has been a great partner with us. Some of the data, and you see it right here. I know folks in the back may not be able to see this, but something that we definitely want to tout. 74% closure in our homicide rate, meaning that this is exceeding the national average by 57.8%. We have 132 non-fatal shootings. That's down 10%. This is all 2024 data versus 147 that took place in 2023. 40 homicides. One homicide is too many. One homicide is too many. But we've been down 23% from 2023, when we had 52. So I'm extremely proud of the work that Chief Cannon has been doing when it comes down to involving and engaging the community when it comes down to policing. This is something that is extremely important. And to this audience and to this crowd, public safety is extremely important when we're talking about business growth, business retention, and business expansion. Chief Tillman, again, great data, great statistics that talks about everybody wants to be a Gary firefighter now. Everyone wants to be part of the Gary firefighters, and we're extremely proud of that. New recruitment applications, 180 people signed up to become a Gary firefighter. So you'll see just some of the things that we've been able to do, some of the equipment we're working to acquire out of our community development funding. All of these things has been helping us get closer to the success we need to do. We received $500,000 grant from IDEM to address illegal dumping, this task force. Let me tell you, between code enforcement and the police department, we've been cracking down on illegal dumping. Folks that's dumping tires, literally hundreds and hundreds of tires. And typically, they're not from Gary. Every single time we've caught someone illegal dumping, they're from either another state or from another neighboring community that feel that is acceptable. And that's something that we're changing that narrative and holding them accountable. Unsafe building hearings, this is something we talk about with stabilizing our neighborhoods. I know Jim Wiseman is not here. I know Hassey Construction is here. I want to thank them again for last year. This will be the time we want to show a really quick video. I don't know if we still have that video up. So I'm going to go to the next slide, which she's prompting me to do. But before I show you that slide, the last chamber luncheon I came to, I told you guys that Reith Riley, Hassey Construction, Sealy's, about 8 construction companies, Chris, close to a dozen or so, volunteered and donated their time to demolish abandoned homes in the Etna neighborhood. And guess what? They committed to doing it again this year. So what did that process look like? In the Edna neighborhood, which is part of the Miller neighborhood as well, right by the train station if you haven't been there, we identified 100 unsafe buildings, or unsafe homes in this neighborhood. 53 were demolished, but 35, because folks, we held them accountable, came back to say, you know what, we're going to rehab that house. And we gave them a certain time of, a window of time to make that happen. And right now, if you drive through the Edna neighborhood, you're going to see construction happen, or rehabbing of these homes taking place, because this process ignited our next steps.
Gary, Indiana is breaking ground on a new neighborhood stabilization effort.
The mayor will be speaking this morning, sharing his vision for redevelopment in the neighborhood. Joni joins us live with more details.
Good morning. Well, the mayor has already put his words into action. There are construction trucks all around this neighborhood we're standing in, knocking down vacant homes. They started with this one right here in the 1st District. This is the Etna neighborhood of Gary, and they started the demolition on this house. Nobody really knows just how long some of these buildings have been vacant. They're estimating 20 to 30 years, but now they're paving the way for the new future of Gary, Indiana. Here's some video we have of this house coming down. This is what's going to be happening all over this neighborhood. They are going to be working on several homes. They've got 7 teams, construction teams, who volunteered their time to help knock down the vacant homes, remove the blight in Gary, address the blight, and make way for new development. The 8 different companies volunteered, and then the person who started all this, his name is Jim Wiseman, and he is with a road construction company. He told me everyone said, yes, let's do it. They started now because it's sort of winter time when they're usually slow, and so now they are actually doing it. This is a neighborhood where he grew up, and he wants it to be reborn into the beautiful neighborhood that he grew up in. Here's Mayor Eddie Melton talking about the project.
In our first 100 days, we made sure that we reached out to our community partners. Reith Riley was the first corporation that we sat down and had a conversation with and figured out how can we collaborate and address some long-term issues that the city has. We know we have a significant amount of blighted structures, and there's only a couple of ways that we can address that. Number one is having the right finances to do that, which we're working with the state and the federal government, but also pulling some of our corporate partners to the table. So we're happy that all of these contractors have volunteered their services, so we're going to demolish close to 40 homes today.
So they just restarted the work here. You know, they targeted 85 homes in this neighborhood alone for demolition, and they went to the owners, and some of the owners said, no, we would like to rehab our property, so they're giving them the chance to do that. But at least 35 are going to come down this week here in the Etna neighborhood. This is right next to Miller Beach. Miller Beach is a beautiful area right along Lake Michigan, and they feel like this could be a beautiful neighborhood as well. You're watching the demolition of the first house here in the 1st District of Gary. Reporting live, I'm Joni Lum. Now back to you.
Let's talk about Hard Rock again. Matt Schufer, ladies and gentlemen, is the back president of Hard Rock, Northwest Indiana. Matt, we want to thank you for your partnership. So the last bill I passed as state senator was Senate Bill 434. You see us there with our team. It does a few things. It provided us with the funding, a total of $6 million from the state, but we were able to receive additional $3 million from Hard Rock to address blight in our downtown transit development district. So we want to thank them for that $3 million match. I want to thank the council for approving the funding to match that, and another $3 million to allow us to address this. So a total of $12 million for blight elimination in downtown. Also, a $90 million investment for a new train station downtown, which is scheduled. Myself and the new governor, we have to appoint a board to help design and develop a new train station that's going to go on 4th Avenue. So you want to hear and see a little bit more about that. And also, the Lake County Convention Center, you may have heard about this. This is our collaboration with Hard Rock Casino, Northwest Indiana, with AECom, a great developer, and Robson Engineering. You guys, thank you so much for your partnership. This is hopefully going to be next door in the future. We're almost there. We still have to pursue this with the support of our Lake County commissioners. So this is something that we were very adamant about to make sure we get in this community. So again, thank you for the partnership. Ourselves, the city of Gary and Hobart are the only two communities that are vying for this. And I truly believe when you are the #1 casino in the state of Indiana that sit on one of the nation's busiest highways with nearly 300,000 cars a day, there's only room for growth and opportunity to move forward. So this will be a tremendous asset, not just for Gary, but for Northwest Indiana. And we can have more events and host other activities throughout the state. And here's a conceptual rendering of the footprint. You'll see Hard Rock will be building a 300-room hotel. They were going to do that anyway, right? That just adds to the entire narrative. The convention center that you see here, but you also see we partner with another developer that owns the land across the street who has committed to building 2 additional hotels across the street from the current Hard Rock Casino and I believe 2 other restaurants. So both of those other hotels will be 250 rooms apiece. In addition to, so you got 500 rooms, you got another 300 rooms right there. So think about this right in this corridor. So you came here to a concert, you don't want to go home, you might have had a little bit too much water to drink. I ain't looking at you, Vanessa. You get the picture. So let's keep going on. Let's talk about the Downtown Transit Development District, which I believe is also very critical in that legislation. Christopher Harris helped put this context together for us right here. So sometimes I also have to remind myself of our proximity to Chicago and our access to the Chicagoland market, one of the world's largest economies. I'm not going to rattle off this data, but you can see right here, even just using the South Shoreline or GPTC, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But we're in a really good position. Many of you heard about our partnership with Notre Dame University. I want to thank Carla Morgan, our corporation counsel, who is an alumnus of Notre Dame, who made the introduction. Her and Chris went down to Notre Dame and they pitched Gary to the Notre Dame School of Architecture, Housing and Community Regeneration Initiative, and they accepted us as a partner. They joined us as a partner to help us have workshops through our community. We had over, 500 residents that came out over a week period of time to share their thoughts and vision on downtown and what they would like to see. Part of the blight elimination here, we are targeting, in the red you can see along the Broadway corridor here, the buildings that we're going to identify to make it safe. Safety is the first objective when we're talking about blight elimination, so we'll make sure that's clear. So again, the $6 million, $3 million, $3 million, all of that has already been confirmed, locked in, the dollars are here. We have a firm, BLN, which has already started assessing, doing the environmental studies. So the first building, Ellis, will probably be going down in a couple weeks, right? So that's my hope. So I'm just pulling that out there. BWI, one of our partners, Gary Hobbs, you want to wave your hand in the back? Mr. Hobbs from Indianapolis is here. His firm, BWI, they bidded to receive the Palace Theater. Who remembers the Palace Theater downtown Gary? The Palace Theater has been closed longer than it was ever open. How long has it been? About 60 years? 1972? It's been closed. Well, we have a new project that's underway to transform this. It's 2 phases. One is more retail and commercial, office space and restaurant space of the front half. A lot of people don't realize there's 2 buildings. The front facade is just more of the office space and restaurant space, which is the phase 1. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hobbs, at any point. But the movie house, the original movie house, is behind that. And that's something that with our funding that we received from the state and Hard Rock, we're going to demolish that structure. And for the phase 2, That's where we're hoping to build some residential lofts downtown Gary. So, Mr. Hobbs, I want to thank you for your commitment. Here's a timeline. Right now, they're looking to reinforce the facade, to beautify it, to make sure it's safe and secure. Then you'll see, hopefully by November of 2025, construction will take place. I knew this was going to come up, so I said, let me just jump right into it. The Genesis Convention Center. Who has not been to the Genesis Convention Center before? Poor man. No, I'm just joking. Listen, that place holds a special space in our hearts. Weddings, graduations from Indiana University, NBA basketball games. Where's Chuck? Chuck would tell me stories about how Michael Jordan would come and have exhibition games. Yes, this building has fallen in disrepair over the last, 5 years, 4 years? One of the first things that we did was protect it. When we came into office, the water was off, there was no alarm system, and the doors were wide open. Well, there's an alarm system. We put the dogs system on it to protect it from intruders from coming in, because we know that that facility is extremely important to the future of the city. So until we decided how to move forward, we had to be very intentional and thoughtful on our next steps. So instead of just blatantly say, you know what, let's just tear it down. No, let's see what the options are before we move in that direction. So this first quarter, we're going to be working to release an RFI to see nationally, are there any interested suitors to ensure that we can adaptive reuse this facility for future usage? Could it be residential? Can it be office space? Can it be someone's new corporate headquarters? Think about it. You're going to have access to the South Shoreline right across the street. Most folks from downtown Chicago will get downtown Gary in 35 minutes now because of the double tracking project. So it's a unique opportunity that we're going to explore. This is the rendering of the footprint of the new train station that I talked about that the state of Indiana is helping us to finance. That straddles across the I-90 exit when you're going into the U.S. Steel Corridor or Gateway. So that's kind of the conceptual rendering that Notre Dame helped us kind of figure out how to lay it out in this parcel of land that already exists. An opportunity to see the new investment that the city of Gary made into that facility. I believe we put about close to $1 million in renovating the upper suite through our Department of Redevelopment and support of the council. And also I want to acknowledge Councilman Clorius Lay, who is no longer with us, that passed away, who helped appropriate, I believe, $230,000 to help support this project. So find an opportunity if you have Christmas parties, if you have reunions, whatever you want to do. This is an opportunity as a new and an additional venue downtown Gary. So let's kind of continue to help us support the Railcats, who had a phenomenal season last year too. They had a sold-out game. They haven't had one in years, so they were really growing and doing great things. Some of you may have heard about this situation. U.S. Steel. I'll do my best to give you the Cliff Note version. $14.9 billion deal where Nippon Steel, which is a Japanese company that has been in America for 50 years. They've been in steel production for 50 years, also in Indiana. They were in Shelbyville. They've been in Shelbyville, unionized shop as well. I've been meeting with Nippon Steel for the past 6 months. Now, some of you may have a difference of opinion on this, but let me tell you why I support this deal without throwing U.S. Steel under the bus. $1 billion investment in the city of Gary. That may not seem like a lot to a room full of business people, but the tax base alone would be tremendous support for us if they were wanting to invest in blast furnace number 14. What people don't realize, blast furnace number 14 is the primary furnace in the entire U.S. Steel portfolio across the entire country. Gary is the primary producer of steel for U.S. Steel right now. And it's peaked 30,000 employees. Now we're less than 5,000 employees, right? So the investment of that blast furnace was going to be $300 million. Now, I didn't support the deal originally. I sat down with Nippon. They came to Gary. I went to Houston. I met with them at their Houston office. And I said, why stop there? So 3 other blast furnaces exist. They made a commitment to rebuild and restructure 3 additional blast furnaces. Almost another 600 jobs per blast furnace from what I'm told. That could be the potential. But also increasing tin production, bringing that back into Gary. More jobs, increasing more of the tax base. So as mayor, when I heard the current CEO, David Byrd, say in September, if this deal does not go through, there will be plant closures. What would you do as mayor? You'll do your homework. You'll find out who is Nippon, what will they contribute, will they support organized labor, which is important to me, and all of those boxes were checked. They committed to no layoffs, no plant closures. And this was a cash deal. This wasn't half finance, this was a cash deal. And you think about that transaction and how municipalities, how that trickles down to the local economy. So where are we right now? And also the $5,000 bonus if this deal would have went through. So President Biden, we petitioned him extremely hard in his office. We sat down with Congresswoman Maxine Waters and a variety of other folks, Congressman Jim Clyburn, and they supported the deal. I'm like, wow, this is going to happen. Then I got a slap. Bap. Joe Biden felt like he just slapped me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, and he denied it. But I understood to a certain degree because he has always been a supporter of the United Steelworkers, who has supported me, and I support them as well. But it was no justification to deny the deal. There's a difference between your political perspective and interfering into a business deal that does not have national security concerns. His own national security advisor said, we probably should do this because Japan is our closest ally, and we're sending the wrong message to our ally and others that politics will influence our decisions on what's best for the economy. So, just came out today that last week, they filed a lawsuit. They'll be suing the federal government, Nippon and U.S. Steel. But it also came out today that the White House has paused stopping the deal to let this lawsuit actually take place, which is progress, which means it would have been more money for the school systems too. All right, maximizing our transportation assets. And Chuck, I know I'm taking too long. I'll do my best.
Your security is not going to allow anybody to so you're good.
But this is one of the most important meetings of the year. To tell you what's going on so you can know the truth about what's taking place and the potential and the opportunities of the city of Gary. For me, this is extremely important. I'm gonna be selfish right now. No other city has what we have as a collective. And that's why I know why we're always fighting downstate. No other city has an international airport. No other city has a deep water seaport. Minutes away from 8094, I-90, I-65. All of these amenities, assets, I can't forget about 12 and 20, right? 3 Class 1 rail lines, CSX, CN, Norfolk Southern. All of this is just prime for a transportation logistics for not Northwest Indiana, but North America. I want you guys to really understand that. We have the capacity, especially if Nippon purchases U.S. Steel with their 500 acres along the lakefront, to grow that footprint into one of North America's largest transportation hubs. Over 60% of all cargo goes through where? Gary? Pull up a rail map of the United States. Just pull up a rail map when you get a chance. Everything converges into the Midwest. And it's a hub that you can see very clearly that in Northwest Indiana, in Gary, there's a unique opportunity for us to maximize, and we can be like a Newark and New Jersey with their port, with their transportation hub. We have that potential. But if we cannot always have to fight to get what we already know exists and just partner with us, we can make some growth happen and take place. Prime example, I mentioned this last year. Indiana Sugars, they seen an opportunity when Majestic transformed into Hard Rock and vacated in front of the lakefront. Over 70 to 80 acres. Indiana Sugars was going to leave Gary. They've been in Gary for 101 years. But they were looking to grow and expand, but they've seen an opportunity. So now they can have sugarcane shipped from the south all the way to Gary. It's cheaper, it's more efficient for them, but they've seen an opportunity. But others in their industry is looking at them as a chance to be closer to one of the nation's largest sugar manufacturers. All of that in green you'll see is where we see potential growth and opportunities. So stay tuned for that. The Gary Airport, there's some highlights here. I'm almost too upset to go through this right now, so let's just skip this one. GPTC, Denise Dillard, the board of directors members are here. Thank you so much for your leadership. GPTC is growing. Busing is a necessity. You want to talk about workforce development? If you're going to build a factory, South County, typically most of your workers are coming from where? North County. Because most of the other folks probably have access to other means of transportation. But GPTC is not just Gary's public transportation corporation. They service the entire region. So I was extremely excited when we built a partnership with Greyhound. Now, Mayor Brandon Johnson wasn't happy with me, but Greyhound is in Gary now, and they're servicing more regional throughout the Midwest. My good friend, Governor Holcomb, cutting the ribbon at the Miller train station that opened up last year. That was a beautiful day. That was a beautiful day. Just to see the work and hard work that went into that facility. Again, right down the street on Lake Street, you had a new business that cut the ribbon with Brass Idol. Just a few blocks down the street, Dunkin' Donuts just broke ground on their new restaurant that's going to be coming out pretty soon. Taco Bell is in the process of finalizing their deal. all of these things are happening right now. This is just what I can share. All of these things are happening right now. So if someone says nothing's happening in Gary, you'd be like, you need to go to the chamber luncheon. You're welcome. All right, small business development. Brother Paul Downing, he and Jocelyn, the owner of Jay's Breakfast, they lead an initiative for small businesses. Brother Downing is also a good Kappa man. Right, exactly. But they are helping to create a small business advisory council. This is something I had in my transition document, my first 100 days, and they've been meeting over a year with other small businesses to figure out how can the city of Gary improve its response and interaction and engagement with small businesses. We know that it was hard or has been hard to do business in Gary on certain things. We're identifying that and we're improving those processes. So I want to thank them for their leadership for starting their group. Business development is a focus area, employment, economic vitality, and ease of business. So again, thank you. Community development, population growth. I'm gonna try to breeze through some of this, and if you want to do a little Q&A, that's fine. The last U.S. Census Bureau survey, we've increased 527 residents in the city of Gary. Well, let me go back to that. I think that's important. Just the home prices. Now, the pendulum swings both ways with this. Yes, it's a good sign when value is increasing. There's a demand. But we also have to focus on quality, affordable housing for individuals. At the beginning, I told you that we're going to be focusing on this, focusing more on people. We have a new program between $18,000 to $30,000 we're giving to employees to help them become a homeowner, also Gary residents. We're targeting the Etna neighborhood, Emerson neighborhood, and the Midtown area. All of those are within our transit development districts. We're going to double down in those neighborhoods with street paving, street lights, and sidewalk repair. And that's, again, something that the council helped us provide that funding moving forward. We've doubled our amount of permits, building permits. This is a clear indication that progress is happening. Folks are rehabbing homes and building new structures. Over 2,211 permits were issued. And this was towards the end of last year, so we actually surpassed 2023. We changed a local ordinance. I heard from some contractors that said it's hard to get a license, a builder's license in Gary. So we have a reciprocity now. So if there are individuals that already have a license in neighboring communities such as Crown Point, Hammond, they don't have to take the Gary test if they aren't licensed already. So there's a reciprocity to streamline that so we can make sure we can move forward. And we've already seen some growth and opportunities with that. Infrastructure. We finally have a city engineer. The city of Gary has an engineer. We hadn't had one for 15 years. We didn't have an on-staff, day-to-day person dedicated to the city for 15 years. William Allen joined the team. One of the first things I asked William to do was do a PACER rating. It took us almost a year, but now we know the condition of every single street in the city of Gary. So now we're not paving streets just off who you know. It's based off highest need. And how do we better strategically, efficiently do that? Same thing with sidewalks. We know there's going to take over $20 million citywide for that. And we're preparing and we're planning to figure out how do we finance these projects moving forward. Partnerships, all of these, our railroad crossings are being repaired. Our city engineer reached out to CN, CSX, and Canadian National, and you probably will see some of these railroads already being prepared, but by the end of the second quarter, all of their rail lines should be repaired. Street lights, this for you, Mr. Fleming. We were just talking about this. Again, the council helped us pass $3.4 million. Literally right now, phase 1 is being done. Broadway, Grant Street, 4th Avenue, 5th Avenue, and Ridge Road is phase 1. The street lights will be repaired and upgraded to LED energy efficient lights throughout the entire city. Phase 2, then we move into the neighborhoods. So I just want to make sure that you all know by the end of this year, this project should be completed. Tourism, thank you, Erica, for this slide, because it's extremely important. Just to let folks know that we are the gateway to the national park. Gary, Portage, Michigan City, I talked to those mayors, and we agree that we should work more collaboratively in terms of marketing access to the national park. Based off what research you see, there are millions of people that go to the national park. Millions of people. And we have to figure out how do we better maximize that traffic of individuals that's coming into this city from an economic standpoint. Northwest Indiana Thrive, I want to thank the partnership like the Legacy Foundation and National Parks. Everyone that's been a part of this has helped us figure out how do we better promote and market our national park. So thank you so much. Northwest Indiana Forum, you guys are phenomenal. So again, continue to support the national park. Now, I'm getting ready to close. Here's my ask. My friend Markel Watkins is here. If you're on social media, you follow his page or my page, you probably would have seen a lot of folks volunteering over the course of last year. During the cold, during the beautiful days. It's called Think Big. BIG stands for Beauty in Gary. We understand we have to change thought processes in terms of throwing out trash and litter. However, engaging the community, folks like yourself, not just residents. Join us. If you have a team at your bank, if you have a team at your organization, talk to Mr. Watkins. They got to sign up at the table. Come volunteer. NIPSCO, I used to run y'all volunteer program. Bring a team out. We'll take you to a street, to an area, to a park, and we'll clean up collectively together. And it's something that we've been able to sustain with the works of Public Works and General Services. So again, before you leave, sign up to become a volunteer. When the weather permits, we'll reach out to you to help coordinate a project for you, Indiana Water. All right, sponsorship opportunities. We have the table out front as well. We have a lineup of phenomenal events that's taking place this year. Juneteenth, our 4th of July parade. If you did not join the 4th of July parade, you missed a treat. My wife, Crystal, she had a phenomenal back-to-school program. So I want to thank the Gary School Corporation, all the school entities. Of course, the Gary Air Show, National Night Out with the chief, with the police and fire. The Northwest Indiana Symphony and the Gary Symphony came together and that was the most beautiful day in the entire year. On the lake at Marquette Park, a beautiful symphonic sounds from Gary Symphony and the Northwest Indiana Symphony right there. So you missed an opportunity. It was a free event. So again, sign up if you're interested to learn about how you can become a sponsor. There's no dollar amount that's small, too small for that. So sign up for our newsletter. Erica is our Chief Communications Officer, and I'm sure that she will be happy to know that you are reading our newsletter. We got a lot of good information and updates to lock you in on, so gary.gov/newsletter. And stay in touch on our social media channels. And Chuck, that's a wrap.
Hold on for a minute.